In my VS Code, you can see this TypeScript file that is using CDK construct to deploy a CI/CD pipeline for an app. Notice how the app file is very simple yet powerful, as it will deploy the entire stack for you, including setting up a CI/CD pipeline. Let's generate a CloudFormation template from this stack and take a quick look at it just to see the complexity. It is a huge file with lots of resources like load balancers, encryption keys, etc. And you can appreciate the simplicity a well-written construct brings to your organization. Let's deploy this stack. While the stack is deploying, let's switch to CloudFormation console and have a look at the stack there. Notice how you can go through template in JSON format here besides other things. While the stack being created, let's take a closer look at the code. The main stack is referencing a file from the library. This is the file where all the resources in this stack are created. Scrolling through, notice how we are connecting to our Bitbucket repository using a connection ARN. I will show you how to create connections later in order to connect to a Git repository. Scrolling further, you can see networking components like VPC and other resources, including a load balancer. And the entire code pipeline right in the end. Also notice the output of the public load balancer, its DNS, which we can use to access our application. I'll share the link to AWS code samples later in the session so you can try it in your own account. Let's wait for the stack to be deployed. Now the deployment is complete. Let's check the output section where we see the link to the application deployed. You can see we have a public web page up and running. Let's look at the infrastructure deployed behind this app. There is an ECS cluster with a Fargate service and a task running a single container called web. Also, there is a public load balancer listening on port 80. In addition to this, there is a code pipeline deploying the underlying code. Code is committed into a Bitbucket repository before progressing through different stages. I have already cloned this repository in my VS Code. Let's change the contact details and some other information and let code pipeline deploy the changes. You can see the pipeline has already picked the changes and has moved to the build stage and will eventually be deployed. Let's wait for the deployment to complete and we will revisit our web page. Now the deployment is complete and we can see the updated contact details on the web page. Let me show you how to create a connection to your Git repository through AWS console. You start with clicking on connection, select which Git provider and follow through the wizard. I will include a link at the end of this presentation. Last thing we do is to generate some load for 25 minutes using a tool called Hey. So we can build a dashboard based on common metrics for our application.